Hi, my name is Kristi Cruz, host of LiTV, and thanks so much for joining us today during these very interesting times that we're living in. Unprecedented situations that the entire nation, the entire world is dealing with today, from children to parents alike. We are developing what is our new normal. And here to talk with me a little bit about that today, two very special guests, Justin Perry from Perry Counseling, Healing, and Recovery, and one of his clinicians, Yvonne Carrasco, a clinical social worker. Thank you both so much for joining us. Justin, I do want to start with you. What are you seeing in your practice now that is unprecedented for the counseling that you do?
You know, it's an interesting thing that, I mean, to your point about it being unprecedented, I think that there's a lot of adjustments being made for a lot of people. I mean, I think there's adjustments for us as clinicians because obviously we're doing a lot of our sessions like this through a computer screen versus in person, face to face. But something I'm definitely seeing is a lot of parents that are trying to navigate a new world. You know, I have folks that may be working full time and now are also doing their full-time work at home with their children, and their children have school responsibilities. And so I'm definitely seeing folks that are feeling pressure from multiple angles and just trying to have conversations about how do we adjust our expectations in a way that's going to allow us to maintain through the situation without putting undue pressure on ourselves.
Yvonne, please tell me that it's perfectly normal to feel as a parent that I'm doing this wrong every day. I hope you say yes, because that's what I feel like every day, that I'm doing this wrong.
Absolutely, Kristi. I think when we have children, we automatically feel guilty and incompetent. It just kind of comes with the territory. The good news is that we can help our kids deal with this situation in ways that we also will benefit from.
Let's continue with that. That's exactly what I want to hear about. What are some things that we can do that we can all benefit out of? Because I think the key here is really resilience, finding resilience through everything that we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing with children is that they take their lead from us. And so we have to really, of course we're worried, and of course we have fear, but we need to share that out of earshot of our children, right? Also, we want to watch the news. We want to be informed, but children, the information and the tone of voice and the urgency with which news broadcasters convey this, children don't have a context. So they feel the energy and so limiting or drastically reducing, video and audio news. The things that I'm going to suggest are suggestions that an internationally recognized trauma specialist, Bessel van de Klerk, identified as how we can help prevent families, children from experiencing trauma with all of these changes. And the number one thing he says is really critical is to create a predictable schedule. If you think about when we have an infant and we have them in a we feed them, we bathe them, we rock them in a quiet room. Children having a schedule helps them feel like they have more control. And so it might be something like meals, bath time, there's going to be the same time we exercise, prepping meals, cleaning. And even for young kids, you can have a calendar on the refrigerator with pictures of, this is, any preschool teacher knows that that's how you help kids get into the rhythm.
I tell you, I have a calendar, but little is it followed. And is that okay too? I mean, I love that it's on the fridge and it's a great plan. If you have the opportunity to follow the thing, what do you say to that? Because I know there's a lot of parents dealing with that. How do you stick to a schedule when it's just
right? It's impossible in some ways.
Right.
Yeah. I think that, expectations is what Justin was just mentioning. We have an intention to have a rhythm to our day that the children and ourselves can feel. And I think we're going to do the best we can. So, perfectionism doesn't support anybody, children or parents alike. So we strive and we do the best we can.
And Justin, I know personally are dealing with this too. You have little ones at home. How's it been going for you, running a counseling practice, doing homeschool, all of that?
Right. No, it's funny. Yeah. I essentially, because when I look at the schedule as a framework, right? And so understanding that it's a framework, it doesn't mean we're going to hit it from day to day. Full disclosure, it was probably about 20 minutes ago. I was just navigating a 3-year-old tantrum. So, I think the reality of this stuff is to the point that Yvonne was making, is that we kind of try to create a space where we can have some things that kids can count on, but we also have to be prepared for the fact that sometimes things aren't going to go out the way they're laid out, right? And we kind of have to adapt to what's presented to us in that time. And not only do we have to give our kids some compassion and some grace, we also have to give ourselves some compassion and grace. As you said, running a practice. My wife works full time. We're both busy with things in our jobs, but we also have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so what you're trying to do is figure out, how do I engage enough in each thing, and I think the word enough is, so when we're talking about what do we take out of this, I think that sometimes we look at the idea that we have to do everything with excellence, right? And the truth is that's not always possible.
So overall, parents versus kids, and I know this is a very general, broad question, but which group is faring better overall? Who's being more resilient right now, parents or kids?
It's interesting because I definitely think that, and from my experience right now, I think parents are probably even having a harder time than kids.
I would agree with that.
I would too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that there's certainly, and I think it's also important to recognize that everybody's not impacted the same way, right? There's some folks that have been solidly introverted, and in a way, this is kind of working out okay for them right now. And I think it's okay to recognize there's some kids that for them right now, not having to get up as early necessarily to get on a school bus and those kinds of things, they're adapting.
Yeah, getting some sleep finally. Everybody needs
sure.
sleep, getting it.
From all of the experience I've had, it's been more about reining in parents and trying to help, again, them realize that, look, we're using language like work at home and using language like homeschooling, but it's actually not that, because those things are things you actually plan for. Like working at home, normally you design that. Like homeschooling, I'm designing this. What we're doing right now is containment and crisis management, right? And so what I'm trying to do right now is just to create as much stability and safety as possible. And as long as my kids know that they're safe and that they're loved, everything else doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's the part, like really helping parents realize that, okay, there's not necessarily irreparable damage that's going to happen right now. Our brains are built in to be resilient, and that's an important thing to hear.
Yeah, I would absolutely second that. I mean, you mentioned about being the good enough parent, I think. Mm-hmm. We are offering our kids a lot, and they do have a lot going for them, most kids that, of the families that I work with. I don't see them individually. Another thing, Kristi, that I was going to say that this trauma expert suggests really helps, help us get through this, is to the best we can connect with family and friends and help our kids to do that through Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, singing together with grandma and grandpa. Some families arrange to have Sunday dinner with each other, where family members from around the town or the country, they all eat their own food in a Zoom meeting. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to have face-to-face and eye contact, is what he suggests. Yeah.
And on the flip side, I want to add to that one thing that my kids are doing, and then Lily's that we're working with, Little Living Libraries, is we are resurrecting the idea of being pen pals. And so writing letters back and forth, so exciting. I think my kids got 4 letters today from friends, from family. That is so powerful, not only for a person, but for a child, to know that someone took the time to write them this letter. So,
that's wonderful.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. So really proud of them there. But I do want to just take a little turn here, and it can get dark and it can get really hard. And it can get hard for parents and for kids. So because we're all dealing with grief and we're all dealing with fear and uncertainty, what is normal fear and grief and uncertainty? And then when does it turn to the dark side, if you will, where there's going to be some warning signs where we need to seek the help of a professional, or we need to reach out, knowing that this is way beyond something that we should be dealing with ourselves. So where do we draw that line? Do you have any tips for that?
I would say that, children, one of the changes we may see is sleep disturbances and or nightmares, or needing a lot of reassurance. I think that if children regress into, not being toilet trained, that could happen if the whole household is very stressed.
A lot of this is checking in, right? Because I mean, when you're talking about adolescence, sometimes you're looking at deeper levels of isolation, which can be tricky to figure out because a lot of their socialization may look like isolation to us anyway, right? And so, whereas with some of the younger kids, you may see more outward aggression and everything like that, higher levels of clinging. I think the thing is, again, there will be a level of these things, right? Again, I can say even in my own house, just again, with the little ones, they're not necessarily going to come out and say, these are my feelings, right? There's normally kind of behaviors that you see, but to Yvonne's point, if you're seeing significant regressions and that on a consistent basis around those things, around toilet training, things of that nature, even if you're noticing even in yourself, just kind of what kind of lashing out that may be happening with me. Again, we all are going to have moments, and I think that's the point of realize we're all going to have moments, but if I'm noticing that they're happening on a frequent basis and it's not an isolated thing, it may be good just to check in with somebody. It's not a matter of saying that I have a diagnosis, just saying, hey, I want to just kind of talk to somebody else from the outside for a little bit and see what you think and see if I need any extra support or if this is actually just normal.
And helping our children by maybe labeling, it sounds like you're frustrated, you look really angry, giving them the space to be able to express, and then you help them identify what it is. Speaking to that point also, I think with anger and a lot of body tension, moving every day is really critical to help us develop this resiliency. We feel, being able to feel the power of our body, the agency of ourselves is really a great metaphor. And so finding a way for children and adults to move every single day, I think is a really great recommendation.
What about this whole idea of displacement with kids? So say that they're really upset because they wanted tacos for dinner, but it's a lasagna night. That's really not about the tacos, is it, necessarily?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe they're angry, and this is the way that it's coming out by throwing a temper tantrum about dinner, but it's not about dinner. It's about that they have these feelings that they just cannot express. So it comes out about being mad about not having tacos or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, lots of times it's those things where most of us want a sense of control, right? We all want that sense of autonomy, and you see that again, and that's why I keep joking about 3-year-olds. So when you're going from the time you're hitting 2 to 3 and everything else, autonomy is one of those things that's important. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, in this situation, a lot of us have been stripped of autonomy in different ways, whether it's the parent, whether it's the child. Again, I had a schedule I was used to. I had friends maybe I was used to seeing, and I was used to having lunch at this time, specials at this time, whatever else. And those things don't look the same way. And so sometimes some of us go inward, but then, like you said, sometimes it may come out in terms of, wow, that seems like such a small thing, right? And yeah, because you're right, it's not necessarily about the food. It's about, this is just a new life that I'm just not used to yet. And I think it's okay in that moment to just simply say, hey, I don't know if maybe is this really just about the tacos, or is this just kind of hard right now that the things are just different, because daddy's having a hard time with things being different too, and I know that's made me upset. Is that kind of going on with you too? And normalizing these things.
Right.
Normalize it and not get pulled into the story about the tacos. Like, have that perspective when you see your kids being distressed over small changes,
Probably.
and knowing that.
Right. So this does remind me, though, of a silver lining. And one of the things that we teach at Living Libraries is this idea of resilience, and that you can find any situation and know that it has two sides to the coin. And so, yes, it's yucky right now, and we're all in the middle of it, so it feels extra yucky. But there's another side of this coin. And so it reminds me of a part in the Lily Decree, which I'd like to read here for a second, because I think about all the Lilies out there that are thinking about how they can be resilient, how they can help to solve these problems, either at a micro or macro level. So it says, the world's problems and puzzles now ours to unlock. We'll keep our keys with us on this very long walk. The roadblocks of life can be tough to help clear, but with these keys near our hearts, we'll say no to all fears we cheer. We are Living Libraries, so loved and so dear. We keep getting better and better each year. We are the ones who will not disappear. We are here to help steer all the muck into clear. First, we'll let go of our own self-made doubts as we read to let our hearts fully shine out. With each book and each page, we'll gain more and more smarts about history, science, math, and the arts. We'll find new chances to make our gifts really matter. Our voices will reach the moon, even Saturn, and then our world will shine brightly like the stars. It will glow with the best version of humanity our world may ever know. And so what can you say about resilience, coping skills, just what silver linings can we find in this situation right now that we can remember every time we get frustrated or anytime we feel that fear or that anxiety?
I think when I listen to that, and I kind of listen to what you just read as well, is to me, I think it's an opportunity to really kind of dive in on intentionality, right? And so, the truth is, while there are a lot of challenges that come out of this, there's a lot of things that kind of do make us slow down. Even sometimes time that would be in the car that no longer has to be in the car is actually more time that is available. And if we utilize it with our kids effectively, I think it's an opportunity. I think, especially we're talking about Living Libraries, to me, I think it's a chance too of, if you decide to order something, whether it's certain books, certain coloring books. So again, when you talk about dealing with anxiety, like there's different coloring can be something that's good for anxiety for kids as well as adults. And so, you could order your own kind of things that appeal more to you and you can actually color alongside your kids,
Right.
and I think the value of literature is that, again, it also can provide us an escape, and I think that there's a way now to really utilize this time to really find, okay, what are some things you really like reading about? So we're not necessarily trying to stay focused on this. And I think the last thing I would just say is this, that if I am able to have some stability in my house, I think there's some value in kind of emphasizing that with our kids, is that it is great. It's great that right now we're able to be safe in this house together, and this is a good thing that we're around people who we all love each other and care about each other. Even if sometimes we get upset with each other, we know that in our house, this is a safe place. We're going to get the things we need. And we know that we all support each other and have each other's backs. And so I'm just glad that we get to have this time together, even if it's not the way we planned it.
That makes me think of taking a gratitude inventory, and that really does help develop resiliency, that we inventory what we do have rather than focusing on what we don't.
Yeah.
I would also just suggest that, if we do see anxiety on our part that we're experiencing, or our children, there are free apps that have meditations for children. I have a client right now that loves to listen to a meditation for children with her child. Yes. And it's very soothing and calming. Insight Timer is one of the free ones. There are also free online yoga classes for children. So that'll help calm our nervous system. And when we're calmer, we're creating a calmer energy in our living space.
Justin, I'll give you last words. Anything else you can add?
No, I think Yvonne hit it. I think praising our kids, right? To me, I think there's an opportunity right now when we see them do well to praise them, and again, if they do yoga, whatever it is, come over. Let's say we often talk about catching kids doing the wrong thing. Let's catch them doing the right thing. And again, just come up and praise them and just say, I'm so proud of you and you're doing so well, and just love our kids right now. And also have a separate time where you can have time with your adult friends where you all can, whether it's a group text or whatever else, If you want to do your own separate griping, I have a group text for some of my friends that we're jokingly griping about navigating all of these things. It's a space where we can kind of vent, but in a way it's a non-threatening that kind of normalizes it and says, you know what, guess what? Hey, I'm working and struggle with my kids too, and it's all right. And that, again, if I can feel more balanced, then again, I can give that kind of energy to my kids as well.
Well, Justin and Yvonne, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And I'm sure there'll be some questions that come out of this. How can someone get a hold of you if they need to reach you for further information?
Sure. So the website, if they want to go to the website, is www.justinperrycounseling.com. Again, that's www.justinperrycounseling.com. And you can call the phone number is 704-908-4061. Again, that's 704-908-4061. Feel free to leave a message and we'll get back to you whether we wants to help you or whether we need to guide you to somebody else who can do it.
Thank you guys both so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I hope it continues. And until next time, we will see you on LiTV. Thanks for joining us.